Hey, good morning, everyone. Just a quick audio test. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let me
Yep.
know via
Yep.
chat.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes,
Good morning.
yes.
Thank you, everyone, for confirming. So, folks, today is day one, so it might take for other participants to join. It might take some longer for that. So, we'll start in 5 minutes. I have a long list of participants in this session. So, just for day one, we're gonna give 5 extra minutes, and from the for the remaining 3 days, we're gonna start right on time at 11. So, let's wait for a few more minutes. Thank you. So, folks, this is the schedule we're gonna follow for the next 4 days. We're gonna have 3 sessions of 1 hour starting from 11. After that, we're gonna take a 15 minutes breather, followed by another 1 hour session, and the second break at 1:15, and the final session started at 1:30. I hope all of you have received an email from me for invite for this portal. So please make sure you create your account. You are able to access all the learning content. So whatever we cover in the next 4 days is already available on this portal. I would request everyone to create your account, especially before the fourth day, because as this is a certification exam, you guys will have to give a certification exam on this portal. So make sure your account is created before the final day for the training.
This is the same portal as the other Thales trainings. So I took
That's right.
Cypress Trust Managers. Yep. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. A unified portal for all of our
Hello.
training.
Uh, Sorry to disturb. Hi, Akshay. This is Avinash here.
Yes, Avinash?
Actually, I just joined late 5 minutes. If you remind those things, if I missed anything.
Sure, for sure. Just we
Thank.
talk about the schedule for the training. This is the pattern. This is the schedule for all the 4 days. 3 1 hour session with 15 minutes break in between, starting from 11. Today is day one, so it might take some time for participants to install the app and to access the browsers. But for the remaining 3 days, we're gonna start on time. And you will need to create your account if this is the first training you are attending from Thales.
Yes.
Perfect. So I have 18 and waiting for a few more. So let's give them 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna start our day one. Okay, folks, so let's get going. So, welcome everyone to day one for your Luna HSM learning. I would request everyone to keep your mic muted all the time because your background noise can impact others. So, thank you for that. So, folks, my name is Akshay Sharma, and I'll be your technical trainer for the next 4 days. So, about me, I'm with Thales for nearly 6 years now. And in this 6 years, I have got opportunity to work on different encryption products like your key managers, your cipher trust manager, your payment HSM, which is PayShield, your network HSM called as HSC high speed encryptors, and finally the product which we're going to learn in the next 4 days, general purpose HSM Luna. About this Luna training, we'll be discussing various concepts, terminologies related to the HSM product, and this course consists of both theoretical knowledge and the product knowledge, which will be demonstrated by me. I'll be demonstrating all the labs which you can find on this learning portal. So all those labs will be demonstrated by me in the next 4 days. All the sessions for the next 4 days will be recorded, and after end of each day, you can see this section being updated, session recordings. So if you have to revisit any concept, you have access to this portal, you have access to the session recordings. I really hope you enjoy this training and get something out of it. And learning, by the way, folks, is not the only thing. This is a certification exam. So on day 4, I'll be enrolling all of you for the certification exam. So just another request, make sure your account is created and you can access this content. If you can access, you're all good, you're all set, and I'll be enrolling you for the exam on the day 4. If you have any question, folks, before we proceed, let me know. Okay, folks, so now we are recording for day 1. You can always use the mic option. You can always raise your hand. You can always put your queries in the chat. I'll try my best to keep my attention on all the screens and respond to your queries. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions as well. So folks, in total, we have 7 modules which we're gonna cover in this training. So this is module number 1, where we're gonna introduce all of you to this HSM world. Anyone who have first time have heard of this term HSM, hardware security modules? Let me know in the chat if this is the first time you are hearing this word. Hardware security modules. Perfect. Mohammed, Avinash. Okay. So that's nice. We have few participants. Yusuf. Okay. So we have few participants. For definitely for you folks, this module number 1 is very, very important. So in this module, we're going to talk about HSMs, how HSMs are different from your software-based solutions. And we're going to talk about the different use cases where your HSMs fits into the current cryptographic world. So before we talk about HSMs, there are a few terminologies you must have already heard of. So we'll start with the word cryptography. So cryptography is a science, is a method of communication between two entities. Whereas a receiver and sender, they have to communicate few information, but they have to do it securely. So they have a concept of encryption and decryption. So we have a plain text, we apply cryptographic algorithms on it, we use cryptographic keys and convert it to ciphertext. The process of conversion of plain text to ciphertext is called as encryption. And the reverse, that is get the plain text back from the ciphertext, is called as decryption. So to achieve this, we have two methods for performing encryption. One is symmetric and one is asymmetric. Anyone knows about symmetric encryption? What's that stand for? symmetric encryption? Anyone?
Yes, symmetric encryption means that the key which we encrypt with it, also this the key we decrypt with it.
Absolutely right, Mohammed. So symmetric encryption, where we have same key pair model. One key which will be used to perform encryption will be the same key we'll use for decryption. Absolutely right. And then we have second method which is called as asymmetric encryption. Anyone other than Mohammed wants to explain what is asymmetric encryption? What
It's
exactly?
two types of keys.
Mhm.
Yes, it's public key for the encryption and private key for the decryption.
Absolutely right, Avinash. It's a two key pair model where one key is used to perform encryption, and the second key, which is mathematically linked to the previous key, will be used to perform decryption. So in this both encryption models, symmetric or asymmetric, but it is very important for us to keep the cryptographic keys secure. Because if anyone is able to get the cryptographic keys, they can undo our encryption process and get the plain text back. So that's the core principle behind using HSM's product. So before HSM's, the cryptographic keys were stored in software-based solution. There are very limitations. There are numerous limitations for using software-based solution. You always want to decouple your cryptographic keys with your actual data. You don't want on the same server you have your cryptographic keys, and on the same server your data is also residing. Because your data, your cryptographic keys can be subjected to any OS or your application level vulnerabilities. You do not have any assurance of keys. Why? Because software-based solution, they uses shared memory space. So within the same memory, your other processes are also consuming the same memory. Even if you have to store your cryptographic keys for a long term, that could also be challenging for your software-based solution. So it is right to say the more encryption you perform, the more encryption keys you have to manage. And the proper management of this cryptographic keys is very essential. Within a cryptographic system, you must know who control your cryptographic keys. Are the keys strong enough to pass an audit? If an auditor visits your organization, are the keys secure enough, strong enough? Where are the keys located? Are the keys secured in a secure server? If any application is using your cryptographic keys, is the key coming from a trusted source or not? If you have a third-party application, will the cryptographic keys you are using, is it compatible with those applications? Is those algorithms supported with those applications? So you can think of much more challenges related to your cryptographic keys management. In the recent times, we have seen many organizations have to bear major reputational and financial losses just because their cryptographic system was breached, because it was compromised. And when we have performed encryption, if the cryptographic keys are gone, if the cryptographic keys are not accessible anymore, then your data is at risk of being corrupted if you don't have a backup somewhere. So to answer the challenges, answer the questions which was asked in the previous slide, we have a product called as Hardware Security Module, HSM. So your HSMs, they are physical device whose special purpose is to secure your cryptographic keys. There is no viruses, no malware, no unauthorized access to this hardware product. Its purpose is to physically secure and protect your cryptographic keys, to provide a dedicated cryptographic processing power, including alongside multiple physical and logical security tiers. So that is, this product is not just keeping your cryptographic keys secure. If you have an application which want to utilize those cryptographic keys, then HSM is also providing you a secure environment to utilize those cryptographic keys, to process those cryptographic keys. So not just a dummy hardware where all your keys or cryptographic keys are stored. No, you can actually utilize those keys, and because of the cryptographic processing part this HSM have. It acts as a secure vault for your cryptographic keys and operation. HSMs are certified devices. They are FIPS 140-2 level 3. So folks, anyone knows about FIPS 140-2 level 1? What are the requirements for a device to be level 1 certified? Anyone? The requirement for FIPS 140-2 level 1.
Isn't it just
Anthony.
software and it's certain algorithms or cryptography that's that software performs? And if it meets NIST standards for FIPS, then it falls within, or it could be FIPS 1, level 1 certified.
Absolutely right, Nathan. So your hardware or your software solution, they require certain algorithm, certain FIPS algorithm to be supported. Okay, I believe someone having audio issue. I'm sorry, is anyone talking because I don't hear anything. So I want to be sure my headset is not the issue. I believe others can respond. I hope my voice is audible to others. Please let Mariam know in the chat. Okay, so thanks, Nathan. Okay, so yeah, level 1, just some FIPS approved algorithm to be supported in the hardware or software solution. Going further, level 2. Anyone other than Nathan knows about FIPS 140-2 level 2 requirement? When you will consider your device to be level 2 certified? I'm going to give others chance as well, so sorry about that, Nathan. Raj, Anthony, Jerry, anyone? Okay, so your level 2 says that the device should be tamper evident. That means if your cryptographic secrets are compromised within your hardware, then there must be an evidence for that. There must be sufficient stickers, there must be sufficient proof that your hardware solution is compromised. That is FIPS 140-2 level 2 requirement. And finally, level 3 is the certification level for HSMs. So level 3 says that the design should be tamper reactive. You must have a tamper responsive design. That means when your cryptographic system is compromised, when any unethical access is identified by the system, your device must respond to those tamper events. And we're going to learn in this training what are those tamper events and how your Luna, which is FIPS 140-2 level 3 certified, how it is going to respond to those events. Mariam, can you hear me now? So folks, just give me a few minutes. There are a few participants from one organization who are facing challenges to join because of some internal restrictions. So please give me a few minutes. So folks, do we have any participant from Visa as of now? Anyone from Visa? Okay. Ella, yes, I am sharing as of now, but we are waiting for a few more participants. They are facing some technical challenges. I'm just helping them. But yes, I am also presenting. This is the slide. If you guys can see the pointer moving. Eda, who you I can't see. So Eda, please try reconnecting the bridge. Try disconnecting and reconnecting, because I believe others they can see the presentation.
اوكي معلش قبل ما تركز بتوع 591 لو كلموني ابقى اقول لداود ولا ما اقولوش؟
Hey Jeff, can you hear me?
Okay, now you should be able to hear me.
Yes, Jeff. Did you join using your company laptop, or are you joining with your personal laptop?
A company laptop.
Can you guide Jay and Jeff from your team, because they're also facing the same challenge to get in?
Can I send you the? Can I send forward this link that you sent me?
Sure.
Okay. I didn't know if it was specifically for a person or. Let me forward this message then.
I believe everyone from Visa is facing the same challenge.
Okay.
So we have Jason, Jay, and Jay also waiting to get in.
Yeah. Okay.
So can you just share the link? I can forward it to them.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to forward this right now. And Jay, it went. I finally did find it. It went to the spam filter. Right before you resent it, I found it. Okay. Let me let them know that I sent the email.
بعمل لاب على الايس البتاع كل شويه يجيب لي ان هو اوثرايز.
Okay, so meanwhile, let me try to help Eda. So Eda, still the same challenge? You're not able to see the slides? So Eda, if you are joining from your browser, I would request you to install the GoTo app, then retry if that helps. Mariam, I hope the audio is better now for you. Okay, still some challenges. But the presentation still doesn't work. Okay, let me try to stop the presentation and reshare it.
Yeah, because I can see it just fine.
Yep, same for others as well, except Eda. So,
Except for that's the only one. Okay.
mhm. So I believe others, they are using your link, so will be the audience
There'll
side.
be 3 of me.
3 of Jeff. Yep. Yep. It's fine. They can fix that in the first break for the day.
Okay.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for the confirmation. Audio and slides. Okay. So we have one Jeff. I hope it's Jay or Jason. So waiting for one more Jeff to go.
Is that you, Jason, or is that Jay? And that must not be.
So folks, I'm gonna continue with the session. The session is recorded, so folks who will be joining late will have still a reference for the session recordings. So let's get going. So folks, HSMs, they are your FIPS 140-2 level 3 certified device. That means in case of any temporary events, your HSM is gonna respond to those. Sorry, someone is on unmute. Any questions, anyone? Okay. I hope that was accidental. So HSMs, why do you need one? So in the slide which has some questions, it was asked, Eda, all the training slides which I'm discussing is also available on the learning portal. So if you can access this portal, then whatever I'm presenting here is already here. So as of now, I'm discussing this module, Introduction to HSMs. So you can parallelly you can open these slides. So there was a question that will the cryptographic keys you are using, will they pass an audit? So for that, we have a system called as DRNG, Deterministic Random Number Generator. It's like a pseudo random number generator, which will use some parameters like your temperature level, your sound level, and based on that, your cryptographic keys which will be generated. So it is important for an organization to meet compliance. They must have certified devices. So HSMS FIPS 140-2 level 3 certified. We know that FIPS 140-3 is something new, and our release 7.7.1 is already 140-3 compliant. We have submitted it for for the certification. I'm not able to see the slide presentation. So Vinash, parallelly you can open the slides on the learning portal, but as of now I believe others joining from browser or a GoTo app, everything is fine from their end. So folks, I hope the audio and video is still fine for everyone. Please let me know in the chat or just give me any reaction. Thanks, Kapan. Okay. So HSMs, some of the key drivers for your product HSM is First, a tamper-resistant environment to perform cryptographic operation. So, your cryptographic keys secure inside an HSM, and also whenever your cryptographic keys needs to be utilized for operation like encryption, decryption, signing, verify, then you can make utilize of a secure environment, a secure HSM environment. Centralized management of the key associated with those processes. So the entire life cycle of the key, starting from key generation, key deletion, if you're rotating your keys, if you're generating new keys, everything can be managed within your HSM boundary. And this one most important, nowadays we know that application needs 24/7 uptime. They cannot have any downtime. So for that, HSM supports high availability. That is, in case one of the HSM is not available, the other HSMs have the same cryptographic key material and can serve your cryptographic request. And also for load balancing, if you have a application which needs to perform multiple cryptographic operations at a given time, then load can also be balanced with the help of multiple HSMs having the same cryptographic key material. So now folks, this is another very important slide for you to understand how your keys are stored and how your keys are processed. So whenever you are generating a cryptographic keys within your HSMs, they are stored, they will first undergo multiple layer of encryption. They have to be encrypted before they are finally stored within your HSM trusted boundary. Keys processed. So whenever an application wants to utilize those keys within the HSM secure boundary, the keys will be decrypted. The required cryptographic operation will take place, and as soon as operation is done, the session is closed. The decrypted version of the key will be immediately removed. So whenever your keys are generated, once the keys are generated, they will never go outside the HSM as an unencrypted file, as a plain text. So they will always be encrypted. Now some of the form factor for your HSMs. The first one, Luna Network HSM, which is the topic of our learning. So once the networking is configured, your network HSM is available for your applications which are not physically connected over the network. This HSMs can serve cryptographic request. Supports high availability, high performance, scalability, and multi-tenancy. You have multiple partitions that can be created, and those multiple applications could be assigned to different clients, different applications. The second form factor is PCI HSM, where you have a servers which have a PCI slot, and on those PCI slot, a PCI HSM will be inserted. So this works like an offline, like a local HSM. It is not available over the network. It is like a local HSM. Similarly, your USB HSM, you insert that in a USB slot, and this HSM is now available to you. It can be used for your offline CA utilization, or as a developer HSM for a proof of concept. This HSM could be used. But these two, the major difference is these two are your local HSMs. They need to be physically connected to a server to serve a cryptographic request. But this one is a remote HSM. It's a network HSM. Over the network, this could also serve those cryptographic requests. You don't need any physical connection between your network HSM and your application. This is one of the major difference between this one and these two. So some technical benefits for your network HSM includes keys in hardware. strong security architecture. This HSM will help you to meet the compliances. Different integration is already supported. You can always check the comprehensive list of integration on our documentation page. Key ownership, you always have a key ownership. Let's say we have a concept of partition. Two different applications utilizing two different partitions. They have a confirmation of key ownership because every partition will have its own sets of roles, its own sets of users. Post-quantum, so if you have a requirement to test some of the post-quantum algorithms, we have a concept of functionality modules. So you can bring those custom objects, post-quantum objects, and you can test that within your HSM trusted boundary. So if you plan to buy something online, the first thing you're gonna test is you're gonna check is the ratings for that product, the customer feedback on that product. Similarly, when the organization plans to buy an HSMs, they're gonna look for the certification that HSMs have. How many certifications that vendor currently have. So HSMs they already have FIPS 140-2 level 3 certification. We already have a software version which is FIPS 140-3 compliant. Along with that, we also have some regional certifications. You can always check the customer release note for a particular version to confirm, to verify whether a particular version have how many certifications. Yes, Jimmy?
Hi, Akshay. Good morning. Only one question. Which operating system uses the Thales HSM?
Okay, so you want to ask about the underlying operating system for the
Right.
HSMs. Okay,
Right,
so it
yes.
is hardened Linux, which cannot be accessed by anyone. You cannot take root access of that. It is a hardened Linux operating system.
Okay, thank you.
So FIPS 140-2, it is from your Federal Information Processing Standard. So whenever a hardware is FIPS certified, you know that those hardware are tested by NIST labs. So we have received 140-2 level 3. So level 3 says, first of all, that the design should be temper reactive, temper responsive design, and also the private keys only exist in an encrypted form inside or outside of the HSM. So when the keys are generated, they should be encrypted, and when they are leaving the HSM, it should also be encrypted. Can anyone tell me scenarios, in which scenarios you might have a requirement to move the cryptographic keys outside the scope of HSM, outside the HSM? It says the cryptographic keys.
Migration
Say?
of hardware device.
Absolutely right. You have a Luna 5 hardware, you're migrating it to Luna 7. It is an implementation where your cryptographic keys leaving one hardware and going to another. Anyone can think of any more such scenarios? Other than hardware migration? Let's say backup. You have cryptographic keys on an hardware. You're taking a backup. That is also such scenario where you have to move the objects from one HSM to another. You are creating an HA group. Same scenario. The keys need to be replicated on other HSM members. So we're gonna come back to this point when we talk about backup and restore, and when we're gonna talk about HA, how this is implemented in Luna HSM. Common criteria, this is another recent certification which we have received. So our version 7.7 is common criteria certified, and this is the level we have achieved, EAL 4 plus, against the protection profile PP 419-2211-221-5. So this is the protection profile against which the HSMs were tested. So now some of the use cases for your Luna HSM product. So PKI is one of the most popular use cases for HSMs, where you have your certificate authorities, they have their public and private keys. So whenever signing operation needs to be done, they access the cryptographic keys which are stored inside your hardware. So we have integration with DigiCert, Global Sign, Microsoft Active Directory Certificate Service. We have such integrations available for Luna HSMs. TLS SSL. So to protect your SSL TLS private keys, you can generate those private keys securely inside an HSM, and also whenever those keys needs to be utilized, you can access them within the HSM secure boundary. Code signing, to verify the integrity of a particular code, you can use secure your code signing private keys within your HSM boundary. So this will provide any unethical user to sign the keys on behalf of a trusted entity. Database encryption. So you have two keys, DEC and KEC, your data encryption key and your key encryption key. So your key encryption key is stored within your HSM, and your data encryption key is now encrypted. So whenever your database reboots, you need access to the data encryption key. The request will be sent on the HSM. HSM houses your key encryption key. It will decrypt the DEC, and your database will be up again. So with Oracle, IBM DB2 SQL Server, we have such integration available for protecting your databases. And then over cloud, we also have some integrations available depending on different use cases. So these are just few of them, but again, HSM integration is very, very broad. There are some new integrations which are being tested, which are being documented, which are being validated, and many such integrations are available for Luna HSM. This is a general purpose HSM. It is not related just for payment transaction or just for your network transactions, encryptions. No, it is a general purpose. Wherever you have a use case to secure your cryptographic keys, HSMs could be used for that. So this brings towards the end of our module number 1. So in this module, we discussed the limitation of software-based solution. We talked about HSM, what exactly HSMs stand for, the compliances, and some of the use cases. So any questions, anyone from module number 1?
Just one question. All the private keys are stored in the HSMs?
Correct. Always. They
Always.
will be
Okay.
within the HSM trusted boundary.
Okay, thank you.
With your FIPS certification, right now 7.8.1 is the latest release for the Lunas. How long does it take for new firmware to get FIPS certified?
So even when we release the firmware release for the customers, even way before that, we submit it for FIPS certification, FIPS validation. But the certification could take, some months and even years to get the certification done. So we always recommend customers to get the confirmation before going live in the production, before to plan to use a particular release, to check verify it from the customer release. So as of now, I'm sure about 7.7.1, this is FIPS certified, but for 7.8.1, I still need to verify that. Any other question, folks?
Are all the major, the minor releases of version 7, they have the same end of support date? Or,
Yes, all of them. Yeah.
and when is that for 7?
No. So as of now, there is no end of support date for Luna 7s. we already have for the previous firmware, that is Luna 5, but nothing for
Yes.
Luna 7. Nothing for Luna
Okay.
7. Yeah.
One more question, please.
Yep.
If we want to migrate public keys certified from a Luna server, Luna HSM, sorry, but this Luna is without maintenance, without services, without compliance. It's an all HSM. We need to migrate the keys. Is possible this?
Yes. So the end of support is just for that the product will no longer be supported by our support team. But again, if you want to migrate from a non end of support hardware to the newer one, there is no restriction for that.
Okay.
So I mean, again, it's a recommendation for us that as soon as the product is end of support, you should be migrating to the newer hardware, to the new firmware.
Okay, yes. We have an all HSM, and we already buy a new one HSM, and that's the goal.
Yep. So I believe when you said old HSM, you are referring to Luna 5. So in the training ahead, we have some slides, Jamie, which talks about how you can migrate from Luna 5 to the newer hardware Luna 7. There are 3 ways to do that. I'm going to talk about all 3 in the training.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
One more question.
Yes, Avinash.
It's regards to integration. So as you can see, there are some integration available. So does this integration have the separate binaries, or we have executable on that particular client?
Very good question, Avinash. So depending on different application, again, we have a Luna client which needs to be installed on the application side. So depending on the application, we have different APIs for that. For example, if you have a Java-based application, we have a JSP provider. If you have a Microsoft integration, we have CAPI and KSP for that. So depending on different applications, we have different providers. At the time of installing Luna client, you can decide which all feature you want to install, which you want to skip.
Okay, so all these come under the one bundle package. So we have to choose like which one I have to use for that particular application, right?
Correct. So once we see the installation for Luna client, you can see all the features. Whichever you select, it will be installed.
Okay, thank you.
I also on the app client side, I mean, what we did, because we have different application using the HSM, so we need to check with each of the vendors of those applications in how they're compliant with a specific version of Lunas.
Right.
Let's say some of them might be compliant with client 10.5, some will be just 10.3 for now. So that's another point too for the integration.
Yep, absolutely. You always check the customer release note for a particular client version before you install it. We always share the compatibility metrics where we mention that on which operating system or which application, for example, you have a Java, which Java is tested, which Java is supported with a particular Luna client version. All this information is available in the customer release note. So always, folks, before you install Luna client, before you start using your HSMs, there are different customer release notes, one for Luna client, one for your HSM versions. So make sure you read all of them. Thank you, Sabah. Okay, folks, so this is now our module number 2. We're gonna move further and we're gonna talk about a sample HSM environment. What all tools, what all components you might have to utilize to install in your working HSM configuration. There are different HSM versions depending on performances, depending on authentication type, PED and password. So if you have a PED based HSM, what is this Luna PED? We're going to talk about that. Product verification process. So if you have received the product from the factory, if you have received the product from us, you can verify the integrity of that product. Licensing, how licensing work for Luna HSMs, and some other modules about HSM management. This we're going to cover in module number 2. So folks, you don't have to wait for the end of the modules to ask any questions. feel free to mute yourself. Also, I'll be monitoring the chat. You can ask the questions in the chat too. Look, this is your sample HSM environment where you have your hardware product, network HSMs. Okay, before I talk about this diagram, let me clarify one terminology with all of you. So you have your physical appliance. Within your appliance, there's a K7 card. So this complete hardware is called as appliance. And within the appliance, you have this K7 card, which is referred as HSM. So this HSM is the heart and brain of your appliance. This is where all your cryptographic operation will take place. All the partitions will be created. All the partitions keys, cryptographic keys will be created here. And within this secure boundary, they will be decrypted and perform a required cryptographic operation. So this is appliance. This is HSMs, your HSM K7 card. So when we talk about users, the different roles, there are some users which will give you access to the appliance, and there are some users which will give you access to the HSMs. So make sure you differentiate, you understand the differentiation between these terminologies, appliance and HSM. So this is our Thales network HSM appliance. Within the HSM, within the appliance, we have a K7 HSM card, and in that we will create partitions. How many partitions you can create? It depends on the model of HSM you have purchased, depend on the licenses you have achieved for a particular HSM device. So the maximum is, let me see if anyone remembers or anyone knows about that already. The maximum partition one HSM can have, the maximum.
100.
Absolutely right, 100. So a given HSM can have, one HSM can have maximum 100 partitions. So in order to configure your HSM, you have two options. One is console and second is SSH. So when we use console, when you are in the data center sitting near the appliance, you have a physical access to the network HSMs. So with the help of console, you will configure your admin credentials, you will configure the required networking. Once the networking is configured, you know the IP or hostname for your appliance, you know the admin credentials, you can SSH into the appliance. From a remote location, you can SSH and you can manage your Luna network appliances. Then this is our Luna client, which is your mandatory piece of software for you to access, for an application to access your network HSM, Luna client. Once you install Luna client, we will provide you different APIs, different DLLs. You can also create HA directly from Luna client. So if you want two HSMs to be part of an HA group to load balance your request, that can be created from Luna client. Then backup, another option another feature which you have to utilize. You don't want your cryptographic content sitting on just one hardware, because if this hardware is gone, there are some technical issues with the hardware, you will not be able to recover your data. So you always want to have a backup of your cryptographic keys somewhere other than the network HSM as well. So you can see this backup HSM in this diagram is replicated at 3 different locations. So that means same backup device, you have 3 different options to take backup of your cryptographic content. One, with the local backup. You go to the data center, physically connect the network HSM with the backup HSM and take the backup. Second option, this is your remote option. There is no physical link here now. From the Luna client, from the application server, you can directly take a backup of your content. And the third option is remote backup server, RBS. So using this service, RBS service, you can take backup also. We're going to talk about these three methods in detail in the training ahead. We also have a demo using this method number 2. We'll see in the demo how your backup HSM can take backup and also do restore with the help of Luna client. So any questions, folks, from this management station, the sample environment?
Just one question, like whenever we receive this product, so management station, so first time we have to log in that case, which credential we have to use? So does it provide by vendor, or is it any standard credential? The first time we have to log in.
Okay, so we provide you an account called as Recover. This is the default username. Username is Recover and password is uppercase password. So with this credentials, you can just change the admin credential and log in as your new admin user. Username is Recover and password is uppercase password. So with this credentials, you can log in into the appliance with the help of console.
Thank you.
So HSMs provide you a root of trust for all your cryptographic transactions. It can serve multiple servers and application at a given time, and it is scalable and integrate with any environment. So now our partitions, the last topic before we take our first break. So your partitions are your restricted and your secure area which contain your volatile and your non-volatile data. Based on whatever we have discussed on module number 1, can anyone tell me what will be the volatile data and what will be the non-volatile data in case of network HSMs? Just what we have covered in module number 1, based on that understanding. What will be your volatile and what will be your non-volatile data? If anyone gets that correctly, I'm going to tell you 2 certification exam question separately. What will be the volatile and your non-volatile data in case of your network HSM?
I think non-volatile data is the keys which is stored in the Luna module.
Absolutely right. The key which is stored will be your non-volatile data. So what will be the volatile data then?
Code signing.
Code signing, again, that is just a use cases, not exact actual data. Anthony, you received 2 certification exam question from me. You will receive it soon. So the answer is unencrypted key. So when we were in module number 1, we saw how your keys are stored versus how your keys are processed. So your keys are stored in an encrypted form. So that encrypted copy of that key is your non-volatile data. Whenever your application wants you to utilize those keys within the HSM boundary, the keys will be decrypted. They will be decrypted. They will be in plain text form. They will perform the required cryptographic operation. So that decrypted key, or you can call it unencrypted key, is your volatile data. It is volatile because as soon as the application closes a session, that version of key is immediately gone. That's why it is volatile. So good guess, Anthony. So HSM's partitions are the one which will contain your volatile and your non-volatile data. They are licensed and they are strictly enforced. You cannot go beyond. If you have licenses for just 10 partition, you cannot create 11 partition. It is strictly informed. Then all plain text are volatile data. All plain text version of the cryptographic data. So all you have different cryptographic data inside your partitions. So the encrypted version of that data is non-volatile data, and whenever you have to utilize those data, so the unencrypted version is your volatile. It is just temporary. As soon as the work is done, cryptographic operation done, the decrypted copy will be removed. Maximum is 100 partition. Partition size is configurable if you want to configure the partition size. Partition can be part of HA group. I'm going to come back to this point when we talk about HA. And partition have their own hierarchy. So every partition will have its own security officer, its own crypto officer, its own crypto user. So coming back to the whiteboard here, you have your appliance. Within the appliance you have your HSM, and within the HSM you have multiple partitions. So if application 1 is assigned this partition and application number 2 is assigned partition number 2, as they have their own level of hierarchy, their own set of users, they have their own partition officer, own crypto officer, own crypto user. Similarly, application 2 accessing partition number 2, they have their own partition officer, their own crypto officer, and their own crypto user. That's why the content which is created in partition number 2 with application number 1, they cannot access it. So two separate applications utilizing the same hardware, still the key isolation is there, because everyone have their own set of users. So folks, before we go for our first break, any questions, anyone? Perfect. So I'll take that as no. I'm here for the next 5 minutes. If you are facing any technical issues with the audio or with the screen, let me know in the chat. I can help you with that. Let me reset it to 15 minutes and see you in 15. Thank you.
Might be because
Welcome back, everyone, to our session number 2 for day 1. Just a quick audio and video test. I hope you guys can hear me okay and see the pointer moving as well. Thank you, Yusuf.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you but not see. Okay.
yeah, I can't see your screen.
I hear you.
Okay, so is it everyone who cannot see my screen, or is it just few?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So I believe, please just see the settings. I believe I'm also presenting. I can hear but see the screen. I can't see the screen too. Okay, let me stop sharing and present again. Okay, so before I start presenting, I have shared one poll. I just want to see what kind of HSMs do you have in your organization? Is it PED, is it password, or is it both? If you're not sure what exactly PED stand for, what exactly password stand for, feel free to select not sure. So 53% have already voted, 57, 58. I'll wait for 1 more minute before I end the poll. Okay, someone asked me in the chat whether the sessions will be recorded. Yes, all the sessions will be recorded. I have resumed the session recording for session number 2 for day 1. Okay, so let me end and share the result. Okay, so majority of the participants have both PED and password. That is good, because we'll be talking about both of them. And also we have participants who have just PED. So all the demonstration which I'll be doing from tomorrow, they are on just PED based HSM. So you will see the concept how the PED is utilized, how the roles are configured using PED, and how the roles log in using PED. We're going to talk about remote PED as well. Perfect. So folks, thank you for participating in the poll. Let me resume the session recording. Okay folks, how about now? Can you guys hear me okay and see the laser pointer moving as well?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Yes.
So folks, now we're going to talk about further ahead, and we're going to talk about some backup HSM, but I see someone have raised their hand. What's that? Yes, Sabah?
I'm sorry, that was just to confirm.
Okay, perfect. No worries. Okay, so now about backup HSM. So in order for you to back up your cryptographic content, you cannot simply insert any USB hard drive or a USB stick on the HSM. No, you cannot go from a higher security model to a lower security model. So in order for you to take the backup, you have to utilize these backup HSM devices. We provide you two backup devices options. One is G5 and one is G7. This one in the image is G7. The backup HSM also support 100 partitions each. They can be used to back up from multiple HSMs. That means there is no mapping that is happening between your network HSM and your backup HSM. One backup HSM device can be utilized with multiple backup network HSMs as well. So it can take 3 partitions from one HSM, 6 from one, 10 from one, 20 from one. So there is no limit. As long as you have 100 partitions available, you have some space limitations as well. As long as those two limitations are not met, you can take backup from different network HSMs. It supports both local and remote backup depending on where you are connecting your backup HSMs. If you are in the data center, physical connection, it is local. And second, we have two remote backup options. One is via client and one is via RPS. The backup device doesn't allow cryptographic operations. Very, very important, folks, for you to remember. It doesn't allow any cryptographic operations. That means if the primary appliance is not available, you cannot redirect your traffic to this backup HSM. It is not possible. If the network HSM is down, you already have a backup of cryptographic content. Once the new network HSM is available, you do a restore. But this network backup HSM cannot serve as your network HSM. No, there is no networking principle behind this backup HSMs. Backup device cannot simultaneously backup HSMs with different authentication type, PED or password. What is PED, what is password, we're going to talk about these very, very soon. But just to remember at this moment, that especially for folks who have selected that they have both PED and password in their organization. So folks, for you guys, you require at least 2 hardware of your backup HSM. One backup HSM you have to initialize as PED so that it can accept the backup from PED based HSM. Second device you have to initialize as password, and then password HSM, this HSM will take the backup from your password network HSM. So a single backup device cannot accept backup from both PED or password. So it will be either PED or password. So now we're going to see the product specification, how your HSM's front panel looks like, what all different ports is available on the rear panel. So this is the front panel. You have a lockable bezel. If you remove this lock, let me show you one picture quickly, what you will see. Once you remove this lock, so this is from my local setup. Let me bring this image here. So once you remove this bezel, you will see these 2 USB ports on the front, your ventilation fan indicator, and you also have a power button on and off. You're seeing Gemalto here, but if you have recently ordered the appliances from us, you will see Thales written on them. So this is what you will see once you remove this this lockable bezel. You also have your LCD display, which will give you information about your IP, your serial number, your firmware and software version. There are some operational codes as well. For example, ISO, in service operational. If you see IST here, in service trouble. OOS, out of service. OFL, offline. So these are some of the status codes which you can see that can help you to troubleshoot if your network HSM is facing any challenges. 2 USB ports, power buttons, and fan status LEDs. We already see them under the lockable bezel. So your HSMs, they are made from your hard opaque material with any attempts causing serious damage. Remember folks, there is no mechanically serviceable part on your network HSM. Don't try to remove anything, don't try to insert any wire or anything inside your network HSM. These are your FIPS 140-2 level 3 certified devices. There are some sensors in place which will be triggered if you try to forcefully open the chases, if you try to remove the K7 card, then those sensors will be triggered. So any intrusion detection will result wiping your key material. Your HSM's content will be gone. So make sure your appliance, they are racked in the data center with proper access control rules in place so that no one can simply go into the data center and physically damage your network HSM. This is what we have in the rear panel. We have your K7 crypto card, your HSM, the heart and brain of your appliance. If you have PET-based HSM, this is the port to connect pin entry device, the PET devices. What is pin entry device? We're going to talk about that really soon. PET port. Then you have 4 1 gig Ethernet ports for your port bonding as well. So the numbering goes like this: ETH0, ETH1, ETH2, and this is your ETH3. You can perform network bonding. You can create bond with ETH0 and ETH1. This will become your bond 0. ETH2 and ETH3 can be bonded as an active backup pair to perform bond 1. So remember folks, this is the only supported combination: ETH0 and 1, bond 0, ETH2 and 3, bond 1. Then you have 2 USB ports on the rear panel as well. You have 2 on the front and 2 on the rear panel. These are just to connect your backup devices if you want to take any local backup. RJ45 serial port. So this is the port which you will use to initially configure your appliances to establish a console connection. So RJ45 serial port, the other end will be USB-A, and the USB-A will go to your laptop, and this will be your console connection. Then on the rear panel you have this decommission button. Very important button. So this decommission button allows you to delete your partition content, delete your HSM content permanently. You remove those, you press this button. This is again, you cannot accidentally press this. This is under the surface. So you have to insert some pointed object inside this hole, keep it pressed for like 5 to 10 seconds, and then your decommission will be successful. That is, every content inside your HSM is gone. This decommission button is battery backed up. That is, even though there is no power supply unit connected, there is a battery which is running inside your HSMs. Even if there is no PSU connected, the battery will ensure that your cryptographic content is removed, that they are wiped. So don't just think that this is only work when the power supply unit is connected. No. Even without PSUs, battery will ensure the deletion of the cryptographic content. What are the parameters for serial port release? So we show you right away. Serial, you have to change it to 115200. Data bits 8, stop bits 1, parity none. This is what you will configure for your serial console connection. I hope that is what you were referring, Yusuf. These were the parameters you were looking for.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. 115200, 8, 1 and none.
If you push the decommission button, is there any indicator that shows that that it's successfully been decommissioned, or is it just you hold it in and think that it's wiped out?
So there is no confirmation, there is no indicator for the confirmation, unlike your PayShield devices, your payment HSMs. Nothing on, no confirmation on here, but it's an assurance that as soon as you press it, everything is gone.
If you do have it powered up, does it show on the front panel that it's been reset?
Right. Yes, there's a log entry as well. Yep.
Okay, a log entry. All right, thank you.
Yeah. And some organization, they think that this button is risky, they don't want to enable it. So there is an HSM level policy which you can configure whether you want to enable this button, whether you want to disable this button. So totally up to you. If you want to disable it, you can disable that as well.
Right.
And then finally you have these hot swappable power supply unit. So if one of the power supply unit is not working, it is faulty, you will hear a beeping sound on the HSM. A continuous uninterrupted beeping sound your HSM will make, so that the folks in the data center can know about that one of the power supply unit is faulty. If they both are working, you will see green indicator here, green indicator here as well. If one of them is not connected properly, you will see red indicator here and green on the other side. You don't have to turn down power of your appliances to remove your PSUs, to replace your PSUs. Even if the HSMs are running, just get the replacement, remove this one out, insert the new PSU. Remember folks, this is the only thing which can be forcefully removed out of your HSM. Other than that, please don't try to remove or open anything on the network HSMs. You don't want your HSMs to be tampered.
If they start beeping with a power supply fails, if you acknowledge the error message, will it turn off the beeping, or?
No, so you have to remove one out. Until to stop the beeping, you have to remove one completely out.
You have to take it completely out. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's irritating. It's beeping.
Yeah.
We're waiting for a replacement device,
Yeah. So I have just like at my house, I have one network HSM. So I just remove one out and keep it running with the help of one PSUs.
Okay.
But for the customer HSMs, definitely you should be having both the two PSUs connected. But yes, in order to stop the beeping, just remove the one out temporarily.
Okay.
Just one question.
Yes, Minash?
Yeah. So is this device? Do we have any option to like other chassis, like where we can upgrade the memories or no, this storage? This kind of option is not available with this Thales, right?
Nope, no. These are security hardened devices. Nothing can be manipulated. Nothing can be migrated on a different hardware. None.
Okay.
Yeah. You cannot even get a root access. So you cannot even if you have Luna Shell access, if you are consoling into the appliances, still it is a restricted console. There are still limited commands which you can access, which you can operate. Okay. Yeah. So any other questions, folks, from the front panel, the rear panel, anything? Perfect. Let's get going then. Now the different HSMs depending on different authentication type. So you have password series and you have PED series. Depending on how user authenticate to your HSMs, we have password model, we have PED model. We're going to cover these in the coming slides, the difference between these two. But A series is password, S series is PED. Then we have different models. We have different models depending on their performance level. We have standard performance, which is 700. You get 2 MB of memory in the HSM, and total the maximum partition you can create is 5. So standard performance password series will be A700. Standard performance PED series will be your S700. The second model is your enterprise performance, where you get 16 MB of memory for the HSM, 5 partitions in the base model, and with the help of additional licenses, the maximum you can go is 20 partitions. So A750 password, S750 PED. And finally, the maximum performance level, where you get 32 MB of memory, 10 partition in the base model, with additional licenses, 100 partition. You can create 100 partition each. So in total 6 models, 3 different performance level and 2 based on authentication type, password or PED. Once you upgrade your HSMs to 7.7 or above, just see here the sizes is released. So 2 becomes 4, 16 MB becomes 32 MB, and your 32 MB becomes 64 MB in case of maximum performance level. So this is released with the 7.7 upgrade. So if your HSMs are on versions less than 7.7, this is the size you will see, 2, 16 and 32. But as soon as you upgrade them to 7.7 or above, it will be 4, 32 and 64. So you don't have to run any command, it will automatically happen with the upgrade. Then few of our customers have upgraded their data center to all fiber. So to support such customers, we have this 10G fiber model as well in the maximum performance level. So here, if you remember the sequence, ETH 0, 1, 2, and 3, that was for your standard network HSM. But in the 10G fiber model, ETH 0 and ETH 1 are now here, which are your 10 gig optical fiber ports. And then your ETH 2 and ETH 3, they are again your standard 1 gig copper ports. So ETH 0, ETH 1 here, 2 and 3 here. These are your 2 10 gig and these are your 1 gig each RJ45 ports. The next few slides compare the performances with Luna 7 with Luna 6. So you can see some of the operations are even 10 times which you were getting earlier with Luna 6. Along with key encryption, so you can refer these slides later from the learning portal. These are just for your reference, how the performance is improved with Luna 7 series. And now about password versus PED. What is the difference you get if you purchase a password model or if you get a PED model? But you have to remember, folks, that this decision, whether you have to utilize a password HSM or a PED HSM, this needs to be made before you purchase your network HSM. Because once the HSM leave the factory, the authentication type, it cannot be changed. Also the performance level cannot be changed. So if you have purchased A750, it will always work as password with your enterprise performance level. If you have purchased S790, it will always work as PED as a maximum performance level. So password HSMs, they do not require any additional hardware, any authentication. No. all the users which will log into your HSM will require a password for them to log in. Your security officer, crypto officer, partition security officer, all the users will require a password for them to log in password-based HSM. They could be vulnerable to observation, and there is also no accountability to know which user in a particular organization knows which password. But nowadays we have seen different password protection systems in place which organizations are making use of to protect the password in the organization. So this is about password-based HSM. Every user, every role, a password for them to log in. Then we have PED-based HSMs. PED stands for Pin Entry Device. So you achieve multi-factor authentication with PED-based HSMs. Let me show you how you achieve that. So in case of PED-based HSM, you achieve MFA. Something you have and something you in case of PED-based HSM, something you have for every role is a unique PED key. Every role will have their unique PED key for them to log in. And something you know is a PIN. Every PED key will have a corresponding PIN also. So whenever a user have to log in, they have to provide these two things. Something you have, a physical PED key, and something you know will be the corresponding PIN for that user. If the physical PED is incorrect or the PIN is incorrect, the user will not be able to log in. So it's not just a single password like in case of password-based HSM. You have multi-factor authentication support in PED-based HSM. Once we start the demonstration tomorrow, you will see how these roles are created, how this PIN is created, and how they will log in with the help of this physical device called as PED. We're going to see that in the demo. We also have easier tracking of key custodians. So you know which individual is your HSM security officer, which individual is your crypto officer, which individual is your partition security officer, because every role will have a unique key assigned to them. So if Jeff is my HSM security officer, he will have a blue security key. If Jerry is my crypto officer, they will have a black PED key with them. If Raj is my crypto user, they will have a gray PED key with them. So there is an easier tracking of key custodians in case of PED-based HSMs. We also have support of M of N quorum support. Anyone knows about quorum, how this M of N quorum support work? Anyone?
Yeah, it's just where you have a defined set in like 10 and you need 8 of them to log into the HSM, or you need
Absolutely
to use
right.
a certain number of them.
Absolutely right. So it is splitting your key custodians, your authorization secret, with multiple PED key custodians. And whenever you have to log in, a minimum set is required. We're going to see in the next coming slides how this M of N works for your PED-based HSM. But you don't have to worry. The authentication which is happening between the communication which is happening between PED and HSM is also secure. So both our PED and password models, they are FIPS 140-2 level 3 certified. You are not compromising in terms of security if you are going for password. They both are same. They both serve the same use cases. It is just the organizational decision whether they want to have PED let's say if they have sufficient number of security individuals in their organization, they can go for PED. If they have a proper password management system, they can go for password. But with additional PED devices in place, there is some additional hardware that is required. You require multiple PED keys, you require pin entry devices at multiple locations, and those hardwares will be required. So totally up to you. I mean, you all guys have already made the decision. You guys already purchased the Luna Network HSM, but yes, in future, it's totally up to you whether you want to go for password or PED. And now for the folks who have PED based HSMs, and even some have both PED and password. So for you folks, this is the device which you will gonna use, your pin entry device. With the help of this device, you will configure different roles. Even when they have to log in, they will use this device. So on the top, you have your USB A type connector where your pin entry devices, your iKeys, will be inserted. It can work as both local or remote depending on where you are connecting it. If you are in the data center, it is your local PED. If you are from a remote location, from a remote client location, the same hardware, the same device can work as remote PED as well. There is no one-to-one mapping between your PED and HSMs as well. So one pin entry device can be used with multiple HSMs as well. You have to remember, folks, your pin entry devices, they are not holding any authentication secret. It is just providing you a way to transferring the authentication secret from the network HSM to your physical PED keys. Your HSM supports only one PED connection at a time. At a given time, your HSM can understand only one PED device. These are your PED keys, your physical USB dongles, you can call them iKeys, USB devices, which will hold your authentication secret. So there's a color scheme, definitely folks, by the end of 4th day. If you are already not aware of this color scheme, you're gonna see them in so many demos. By 4th day, you will remember all these color schemes by heart. So you have orange for your remote PED key, gray for your crypto user, blue for your HSM security officer, partition security officer, red for your cloning domain, black for crypto officer, white for your audit officer. So we're going to talk about these roles multiple times and this color scheme as well. PED keys, they are imprinted with a secret that can unlock one or more HSMs. So for example, if Nathan is the HSM security officer in their organization and they have, let's say, 5 HSMs, and you want Nathan to manage all the 5 HSMs. So in this kind of a scenario, Nathan do not require 5 separate PED keys for your HSM security officer. No. For the first HSM, they can configure this blue key for security officer. At the time of configuring second HSM, they can say that we want to utilize an existing key set. We want to reuse the key. So this key can be reused again. Similarly, for the remaining 3 HSMs as well, the same key will be utilized. So now one key can unlock one or more HSM. So one individual, Nathan, security officer for all 5 HSM, and he have just one key. So you don't have to configure separate sets of key for separate individuals. Once the PED key authentication secret is created, then you have to create a PIN as well. The minimum is 4 and the maximum is 48 digits. I mean, I've not seen someone using 48 digits as of now, but again, it's totally up to you if you want to configure such a long PIN. The maximum I have seen in an organization is, I believe, 10, which I have seen. But yes, if it is more than 10, it's totally up to the organization decision.
Aren't you able to create it without pins too? When you get to the section to add a pin, if you press just enter, it'll bypass it.
I think in the previous firmware for the PED, we had those options, but I believe now we are enforcing at least to have minimum 4 digits.
Okay.
So, yeah. So this is about your PED keys, and this slides talk about how your authentication secrets are generated and they are stored on the physical PED keys. So let's say you initialize the role, let's say HSM init command to initialize your security officer. Then within your HSM trusted boundary, your authentication secret will be generated, the secret corresponding to security officer. That secret sent to the PED devices. On the PED you have a physical PED key connected already. The user that will become your security officer will input their PIN from 4 to 48 digit, whatever is their preference, they will input their PIN. Then an XOR operation will take place between the authentication secret which was initially generated, and it will be XORed with the corresponding PIN, and the result will be stored in the physical PED key. In future, whenever security officer in this example have to log in, they will insert the physical PED key in the PED slot, enter the PIN, and again XOR operation will take place which will generate your authentication secret again. Once this authentication secret is regenerated, it will be compared with the authentication secret sitting inside your network HSM. If both the secrets are matching, security officer successfully logs in. That is, if the physical PED key is correct, belongs to the right user, and the user also entered the right PIN, then this authentication secret will match. So this is what is happening in the backend in case of your role initialization and whenever those roles have to log in. Remember folks, there is no backdoor entry in case of this physical PED key. If this is gone, if this is broken, if the physical PED keys are stolen. If you just have one user configured for a PED key and that PED key is not accessible, no one can help you to recover the authentication secret. For you, the option might be to reset that role entirely. So make sure you have sufficient secure methods in place to secure your physical PED keys. You can also take backup of the physical PED keys if you want to take backup and store them securely in 2 separate locations. That can also be done. There is no limitation how many times you can take backup. No. If you want to make 20 copies of the same key, totally up to you. So now M of N quorum support. It splits the authentication secret among multiple PED keys. And whenever you have to log in, a minimum number of keys are required to be present in the same physical location. Because if you remember, there was a line mentioned earlier that at one time your HSM only understands one PED connection. So it requires all the minimum number of custodians M value to be at the same physical location. The maximum quorum size is 16. So let's see how the quorum works. So in this example, you are configuring your security officer HSM SO, and you configured the quorum as M is equal to 3 and N is equal to 5. That is, maximum key custodians are 5 and minimum is 3. So in this scenario, whenever your HSM security officer have to log in future, out of these 5, any 3 needs to be present at the same physical location, provide their physical paired key and their corresponding pin. It could be 1, 3, 5, it could be 4, 2, 1. So the sequence doesn't matter. It could be any 3 of those 5 users. All of these 5 users can configure their pin individually. They don't even have to share the pin. So this means 3 trusted individuals in the same physical location are present and logging as your HSM security officer. So every role for which you can configure PED, you can configure quorum as well. So it's totally your decision, the quorum size which you want to configure, but the maximum is 16. So can anyone tell me the value for M and N in a highest secure scenario? The most secure scenario, what will be the value of M and what will be the value of N? Anyone? The most secure situation? The maximum these can have?
Maximum 1 and minimum 1.
Maximum 1 and minimum 1. Okay. Anyone who thinks differently? In the most secure configuration, the maximum value for M and N will be, so it
all the 5.
Yeah. All the 5. Okay. Someone said all 5. M is equal to 5 and N is also equal to 5. Okay. Anyone who thinks differently? Justin, Jeff, Nathan, Neda.
Oh, I missed the question. I got
okay. So
distracted.
What will be the maximum value? No, it's okay. What will be the maximum value of M and N in the most secure configuration? M is equal to 60. Yep.
M is equal to what?
Yes, that's the question. What will be the value of M and N in the highest secure configuration? So Justin have already given up the answer.
16 of 16.
16 of 16. Absolutely right. So in the most secure configuration, the M value will be 16 and the N value will be also 16. That is, all the 16 custodians needs to be present in the same physical location for a security officer to log in. But yes, if I ask about the minimum, but which is the most smallest value you can have, and this is the right combination. M is equal to 1 and N is equal to 1. One user and only one of them is required to log in. I hope this explains everyone who have selected another responses. This is clear, the most secure and the least secure.
So M specify the user, and N specify the number of users that must be there.
Yes. So N is equal to the maximum custodians, and M is equal to the minimum of them which is required. Yep. Yeah, Christopher.
No. I was just going to say the same thing you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in this scenario, 5 different individuals: Yusuf, Justin, Philip, Thiago, Anthony. 5 separate individuals have the components for your security officer to log in. They have a share for them to log in as security officer. But M is equal to 3 says, out of these 5, minimum 3, any 3 is required to log in. It could be Yusuf, Justin, Philip. It could be Justin, Philip, or Anthony. Any 3. It could be Thiago, then Anthony, then Yusuf. So any 3 of the 5 are required to log in. So let's say if Yusuf is on holidays. Now Justin, Philip and Thiago can log in. Both Yusuf and Thiago, they are on holiday, they are on leave. So Justin, Philip and Anthony needs to provide their physical paired keys. Thanks, Raj. Folks, let me know if this is now clear, the concept of quorum.
Yes.
So this,
Does you have the capability to replace one if it goes bad? Let's say if number 4 failed, can you recreate number 4?
no,
Or
the
do
quorum
you just
cannot.
end up having 4?
Yep, you end up just having 4. But again, if you have a minimum users, then yes, the quorum can entirely be changed as well. If you want to recreate the 4th key, then all the 5 needs to be recreated.
You'd have to recreate the whole set. Okay.
Whole set. Yep.
You can't just replace one that's failed.
No.
Okay.
If you have a backup somewhere, then yep, you can replace that with that key only. But if you want to change the quorum, it will be entire quorum change needs to be done. If you want to change a single key.
Okay.
I guess the best thing with pet keys always is to make sure, if I'm not mistaken, is to make sure you always have, you always duplicate it, so you have more than one copy, right,
Always
of that key.
Yes.
That way,
Always.
yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yep. So yep, in that case, if the 4th key is gone, you can simply reintroduce the backup of the 4th key. So in this scenario, you don't have to recreate the quorum entirely.
Yeah, and you can always duplicate the keys even after. Like for example, if you had 2 of them, right, and then one failed, or there's like it got corrupt or something, there's a problem with the key itself physically, you can duplicate a key itself, always.
Yep.
You can always do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. There is no limitation on how many times you can take duplicate of the keys. Always you can make duplicates. But folks, you should never be in a situation where m is equal to 3, n is equal to 5. There are no duplicates, and now 3 keys are now lost. So in this scenario, if you do not have any duplicate, no minimum quorum is set. In this example, if the security officer have to log in, they can't. They have to reset the HSM entirely. So remember to configure the quorum size properly and also make duplicates.
Another good strategy is one team have the PEDs and the other team have the pens. And that way, it makes it a little bit easier to manage.
Yep. And now about remote PED. So like we have users for users to log in, they must access the pin entry device. Imagine a situation where your HSM sitting in a remote data centers and your security officer have to log in. They can never always simply go to the data center and do login process. No. So to make their life easy, we have the concept of remote PED. That is connecting to the PED from a remote PED server to authenticate for a user to log in. So you just require this orange PED key to be configured.
لا يا ماما.
Once you have this orange PED key with you, go to the remote location, authenticate with this orange
إيه؟
PED key, and now you can establish your
تعرف والله أنا بسمع
remote
كورس.
PED connection.
وعادي بس
But
ما
if you do
مش
not have
فاهم.
this orange PED key, the remote PED connection will not work. So from the client location,
هتعملي كوباية كركديه
to
ما
establish
تستريح.
remote PED connection, always this first orange PED key needs to be
عادي بس شوية.
authenticated.
لا ما بفكر.
How this orange PED key is configured, how this is initialized, we're gonna see
طب
that
هي
in
جاب
the
له الفوار.
demo as well.
طب دهن له المرهم.
So port number is 1503 for your remote PED connection. So this is the firewall exceptions you have to make for this port if you want to use remote PED functionality. Now some of the best practices for your PED devices, PED keys. Back up your PED keys always. Always make backup, store them, those backup sets in different location. Let's say if the data center number 1 is not accessible due to some natural reasons, you still have site number 2 from where you can go and recover those set. A sign up pin and pin need to be shared between key custodians. So if you have 3 of 7, and those 7 individual can have their own sets of pin. It's not mandatory, it's not required, it's not even recommended for users to share their pins. Avoid M of n, sorry, not avoid, implement M of n as wherever is possible. If you have sufficient number of security individuals in your organization, make sure you implement M of n for sure. Red key, your cloning domain key. If you are not aware of this key at this moment, don't worry. But remember, folks, out of all the key set which you're gonna make, red key is the most important one. Very, very important. And we're gonna talk about the usage of red key in the next few slides. But remember, red key needs to be backed up securely and to be also kept in a secure location. What is the most common M of n policy? Suraj, again, this could vary depending on the organization, but the most popular I have seen, I would say, is 3 of 7 or even 5 of 8 I have seen, which is quite common among customers. I've never seen 16 of 16, but maybe there are some other customers which require some highly secure environment where they are keeping 16 of 16 configuration. Yeah. And finally, the last recommendation is if you want to share the pet keys amongst different HSM, that should be among common environment. So like I said earlier, if Nathan is a HSM security officer for 5 HSM, and those 5 HSMs will be used by the same set of application, then only it is recommended that they have the same set of keys. Else, please make sure that it is separate sets of keys for separate HSMs. When we initialize the HSM, I'm going to show you the part where it asks you whether you want to reuse an existing key set or do you want to create a new key. Folks, just raise your hands if ever you have initialized an HSM with the pet keys, ever. If you have initialized any Luna 5 or Luna 7, Nathan did it, Jeff, okay. So 2 of, okay, Jerry also did it, and one more. Okay, so for the few folks who have never seen it, so tomorrow we're gonna see those steps in detail. I'm gonna present my camera and I'm gonna show you all those steps, step by steps of your HSM initialization and configuration of those keys. Thank you everyone for letting me know. Okay, Alkapan, I also have done it. Christopher, Jerry, nice. About certifications, so FIPS 140-2 level 3 already here. So like I said, 7.7.1 it is already completed. I'm not sure about 7.8.1. It could be there in the customer release note. Feel free to check whether a particular release is certified or not. So FIPS 140-3 it is coming. We have already submitted our one of the release for the FIPS 140-3 validation, but the version 7.7.1 is compliant to FIPS 140-3. All the settings they are compliant, however not yet certified. Common criteria we have already talked about it, and some regional certifications as well. So now about package verification. So once we send the package which contain your backup HSM or your network HSM, we always send you some information over email first. So that email will contain information about the product number, the bag number, the temper bag seal number, your HSM serial number, so that once you physically have collected the devices, once you receive the devices, you can verify the integrity of the package, so that during the transit no one was able to access your appliance. There is no man-in-middle attack. So make sure once you receive the devices from us, you check the bag number, the product number on the box containing your item, your HSMs. then there will be a temper bag number. It will be wrapped in a seal. So that wrapping item, there will be a number written on that bag as well. There will also be a seal, so that if the seal is lifted, seal is broken, you will be made aware about it. You don't have to utilize that HSM. You can always get in touch with support for those faulty shipments. And finally, the serial number. Whichever HSM you will be sending will have a unique serial number with them. Same thing happen with your backup HSMs as well. They will also be shipped to you in a secure environment. So this is the physical verification of your package. There's a software verification which will also take place, called as secure transport mode, which we're going to cover in the next module. So folks, any questions? Anyone so far?
I was going to ask this earlier before my microphone stopped working. I just became aware a couple months ago that if you submit your firmware for PCI, for PCI PIN certification, it's considered as accepted. Is that the way you understand that, or does it have to be?
So Jeff, PCI will be applied. Yeah, so PCI will be applied on our payment HSMs, not for our general purpose HSM. I believe for NIST, for FIPS validation, there are several steps before we can actually get the certification for a particular release. So,
but I heard that it meets the PCI PIN standard if it's been submitted.
Right, Jeff. So yeah,
for certification, not that it actually is completed.
Yep.
Is that the way you understand it?
Yeah, that would be for our payment HSMs, not for the general purpose HSM Luna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that wouldn't apply to this particular device.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is Space Shield, which needs PCI validation before they can be in a live production environment. But these are general purpose HSM. They both have the common certification is FIPS 140- to level 3. They both have the same certification, but PCI is something which is unique to payment HSMs only. They are not applied on general purpose HSM. Yeah.
Okay.
So folks, any other questions? Raj, Christopher, Jeff number 2 and 3. Okay, so let's get to our second break for the day. Let me start the timer and see you folks in another 15 minutes. Thank you.
الساعة دي. يا بابا بقول لك ما تنساش تبقى تجيب لجدي علبة فوار للأملاح دي وصباع مرة مولف. هو نايم. لا كمان لا الصبح يبقى تديله واحدة بقى. يبقى هات له بس فوق امي هنا اهي. يبقى هات له بس فوار، يبقى هات له بس علبة ماشي يا عم انا معايا. بقول لك يبقى هات بس علبة فوار يوريدين وصباع مرة مولفي. لو كده وانت عند عاصم حتى رنيلي لو انت نسيته. يلا سلام. انجزي يا بيس، انه لجو كولد جدا.
وبعد ما احنا شكلناها وكده نفهم.
جابت كويس.
It's not a must that you have EVE-NG. The process of creating the virtual bridge, I use CPU, the virtual monitor, the Bron. So here I'm gonna pick running, right, and log into your server. Or the load, as you can see, increase the amount. Then do let's previous video. But before we start, let's have a quick look at the current settings of my EVE-NG that I have right now. You can see the ISO image is loaded here, and for specific reasons
ماما ماما الباب بيتفتح ولا ايه؟ شوفي حد بيخبط على الباب كده.
ايه يا بنت ام احمد. انزلي بقى. عايزه حاجه ولا ايه؟ ايه؟ طب انزلي بقى. يا اختي يعني انت هتنزلي مش هتطلعي تاني؟ ما انت طالعه اهو.
انا ضرسي وجعني كده النهارده بس الصبح، فلسه بعت للبخ دلوقتي بقول له يا بخ ضرسي وبتاع، ما شافوش وقال لي عايز حشو عصب، عايز حشو، وممكن لو وصل للعصب يبقى عايز حشو عصب كمان تقريبا. فالمهم بقول له انا هستنى شويه كده ممكن يتظبط، قال لي لا مش هيتظبط.
Welcome back everyone to our third and the final session for day one. Just a quick audio and the video test. I hope you guys can hear me okay and see the pointer dancing on the screen as well. Thank you, Christopher, Jerry, Yusuf, Mohammed, Jamie, Avinash. Thank you everyone. So folks, now continuing with module number 2, we're going to talk about licensing. So before we continue with that, any questions? Oh yes, I see someone raised their hand. Yes. Okay, I think that is accidental. So okay, so any other questions folks before we proceed? Yes, Yusuf. So I think you said that you have some USB which are broken. So you need to order a replacement from Thales. Yeah. It is difficult to find those devices on Amazon, so Thales will be the best contact for that. Any other questions, folks? Okay, so let's now talk about licenses. So partitions, licenses, we talked about that they are strictly enforced. You cannot create partitions more than the what licenses you have. Partition licenses, they are sold in a pack of 5. So if you purchase one pack, that means you are getting 5 partition licenses. So now you folks, the customers, have their own licensing portal which you can manage yourself with the help of entitlement ID. Once you log in, you can control on which HSM you want to give 10 partition, on which HSM you want to have 20 partitions. So totally up to you. You will be configuring those HSMs yourself. You will be managing your HSM licenses yourself. But remember folks, you just validate the HSM model before installing any licenses. For example, if you upload licenses for 20 partition on 700, will that work? The answer is no. Let's see if someone remembers the limit. What is the maximum partition 700 can have? Our standard performance model.
5, I think.
5.
Absolutely right, Christopher. Avinash, yeah. It is 5. The maximum for 750?
I think it's 20.
Absolutely right again, Christopher and Avinash. One more time. 750 have 20 partition limit. So you cannot go more than 20 on 750s. And finally 790?
100.
Absolutely right. Jeff, Avinash, Chris, it is 100. So make sure you know the limit of a particular model before installing licenses on them. Client licenses, again, they are mandatory, but client licenses is like a verbal agreement between Thales and our customers. You will tell us that, okay, we have 10 clients which will be talking to HSM. We will issue you 10 client licenses. So there is no logical check, no verification or validation taking place on the appliance anywhere in terms of how many clients they can communicate. So customers always respect that verbal agreement, and it is not again enforced by any of the appliance. HSMs, they are shipped without any client licenses. You will have this agreement done with Thales, and based on that we will issue you this number of client licenses. So depending on how many endpoints you have, how many application servers you have, how many containers environment you have, we will issue you client licenses. This is the screen capture of the licensing portal where you yourself can manage your licenses for a particular HSM with the help of this entitlement ID. And now for installing licenses, or if you have to upload any feature on the Luna HSM, if you have to upgrade a software, or if you have to upgrade the firmware. So folks, there are two separate users which will be required for such use cases, for such scenarios. The first one will be your appliance admin. So with the help of Luna client, we have a utility called as PSCP on Windows and SCP on the Linux servers. With the help of this utility, you will transfer the SPKG file, the secure package file, from the client to the appliance. So that is why you require admin credentials for that. Once your package file is received on the appliance, your HSM SO will verify and install the update, install the feature, or install the license file. So two users required: one, your appliance admin, and second, your HSM security officer. Now about your Luna network HSM management. So in order to manage your appliance, to let's say create the networking, create the partitions, and do the HSM administration task, you have this Luna Shell console. To access Luna Shell, you have two options: SSH and serial. Serial when you are in the data center, and SSH over the network. So totally up to you, whichever you prefer. But remember folks, once the networking is done for your Luna network HSM, everything can be done from a remote location. Even your HSM initialization, if you have to initialize your HSM, you have to create partitions, you have to register a client, you have to create objects, everything can be done remotely. You don't have to visit data center for any of such tasks. But just once the networking is configured, everything can be done remotely. So to manage your HSM, we provide you Luna Shell console. So this is again hardened. You can only run limited commands which are there in the Luna Shell prompt. And if you want to whitelist access for your SSH access, you can do this whitelisting as well. This is your appliance level shell. So all the appliance level configuration can be done. If you want to do something for the HSM on the HSM, you have to log in first. So I hope the difference on the appliance and the HSM is now different, is clear for everyone. This is your appliance, and within your appliance is your K7 card. So if you have to do using Luna Shell, if you have to do some task here, you have to first authenticate yourself. So the module number 3, we're going to start with the different users and roles. We're going to understand which user will give you access to the appliance and which roles will give you access to the HSM. HSM documentation. So folks, if you guys had worked with Thales for some time now, you guys have already seen the documentation which we provided, but now there's a recent change in the documentation, how we are sharing documentation with the customers. We have this public portal where you do not require any registration or any account to be created with us. On this public portal, all of our documentation for network HSM, PCI, USB, cloud HSM, depot, crypto command center, all our HSM documentation is now available. Let me share the link with all of you right here. So just go to particular general purpose HSM. Let's say if you want to get the information about network HSM. So you see there is no login, nothing is required. If you want to see the information about the latest release, you can get it from here. If you want to get information about the previous archives, you can get the information from here as well. So let's say if you want to see secure transport mode, everything is right here. So let me share the documentation link with all of you in the chat. So you can bookmark it, keep it secure, no login required for accessing the document. However, if you want to access, if you want to download a particular release firmware, or if you want to find upgrade file. For that, you require customer portal. For that, you require login to be created.
Could you
Yes,
please
someone have-
share the link for what we should log in to download the PDF and the video record?
Okay, so that is our learning portal. So let me share that link with you as well. Here's the link. So this is the training link on which you can access this learning portal and also the session recording after end of each day.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our documentation page. You can refer it. If you want to get information about the previous releases for Luna as well, 5, 6, then here again we have some documentation around that as well. Customer release note are also available on the same portal. So this brings towards the end of our module number 2. Yes, Jeff?
Hi, I had a question. So are the documents the same if we log in to the Thales portal, or are they better, or is it or any
I would
different?
say, I think this is, other than Jeff, I think this is
This is
someone
Jay.
else, right? Yeah,
Yes,
Jay.
this is Jay.
So yeah, the documentation, Jay, on this portal are much better. Even for the searching, let's say if you have to search a particular keyword, even searching, we have improved a lot on this public portal. So again, those documentation from the customer portal, they also will give you the same PDF file, but here, I mean, accessing the portal is simpler as compared to the other one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, folks, from module number 1 or 2, or anything what we have covered on day 1 so far? Okay, so if there are no questions, let me get to the next part for the training. So folks, as you know that there is a certification exam after the end of this training. So what we have done is we have prepared some quizzes for you. So just to get you familiarized with the pattern of the certification exam. So feel free to use the chat option to let me know what do you think is the correct responses for the questions which will be coming in front of you right now. So some questions have one correct answer, some have more than one correct answer. So this is the quiz number 1. For each day I have prepared some quizzes. So this is for day 1. Someone from your data center complained that your HSM is making a continuous beeping sound. What do you think might be the potential root cause for that? A, B, C, D?
Power supply unit failure.
Okay, so A, and so many responses received in chat. Again, A. Ada also responded in the chat, so I'm pretty sure now that Ada can also see the slides. So that's nice. Absolutely right, folks. This is A. Let me go to the next slide. Yep. If any of the power supply unit is faulty, if it is not inserted properly, your HSM will make a continuous beeping sound. Is it true or false? A PED is uniquely paired with an HSM. That is, one PED can be only used with one HSM. Is this true or is it false? False, false, false. Jason, Jeff number 2, Justin, Raj, Chris Sub. Everyone thinks this is false, and absolutely right, folks. There is no logical mapping or linking between your PED and your network HSM. Similarly, there is no linking between your network HSM and your backup HSM. So single PED can be used with multiple PED authenticated HSMs. HSMs can have only one active PED connection at a given time. Is it true or false? So majority went with true. Some responses with B as well. HSMs can have only one active PED connection at a time. So majority went with A and some went with B. Last 5 seconds for others to respond. Okay, so the right answer is A, true. Your HSMs can have only one active paired connection at a given time. So if you have M of n configured, those M key custodians, the minimum number of key custodians needs to be present at the same physical location. It's not possible that one custodian connected from Ottawa, second from Toronto, third from Vancouver. No. All those custodians needs to be present in the same physical location. If it is a local pad they are using, then that means all of them should be in the data center. If they are using a remote pad, then all of them should be in a remote pad location, but sitting in together, because your HSM can only understand one active pad connection. So folks who have selected other than A, I hope this is now clear to all. Let me know, folks. I can go through this concept again if there is still any queries around that.
It will actually, if I'm not mistaken, it will actually tell you if you try. If you try to open a connection and one is available, it will tell you that the connection is already used, has been already used for the ped, right?
Absolutely right.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah. It will refuse and it will prompt you as well. Yeah. So yes, at a given time, only one active paired connection at a time. The authentication secret is stored on both the ped and the ped keys. Is it true or false? The authentication secret. Anthony, Yusuf, Jason, Sabah, everyone thinks it's B. False. Mariam, Jerry. Okay, now couple of A's as well in the chat. Okay. The authentication secret is stored both on the ped and the ped keys. So the folks, yeah, go ahead. Okay, so the right response is B. False. The secret is only stored on the physical ped keys. Your pin entry device are not storing anything. It is just for you to provide. It is just providing you a way to pass the authentication secret from your HSM to the ped keys and then ped keys to the HSM. It is not storing anything. Just like your iPhone charger. If you are connecting your iPhone charger to a electric slot, it is just passing your electricity and charging up your phone. It is not holding anything. Similarly, your pin entry device, it is just passing the authentication secret to and fro. It is not storing any secrets on the ped itself. The secrets will only be stored on the physical ped keys. I hope, folks, this explanation is clear to all. Okay. For a rule to log in into a ped-based HSM successfully, both the ped key and the pin must be correct. Is it true or false? Yusuf, Falakpan, Sabah, Jimmy, all goes with A. This is your multi-factor authentication. Both needs to be correct. Otherwise, the authentication will fail. Yep. Absolutely right, Raj, Anthony. True or false? ETH0 and ETH2, they can be bonded together into an active backup pair. Everyone thinks this is false. Anyone knows what's the right statement if you think it's false? Absolutely right, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yep, Yusuf. It is ETH0 and 1, which will create your bond 0. 2 and 3, they will prepare your bond 1. And then final question from question number 1. The maximum value for M or N for your ped authenticated HSM. We already discussed this question in the session as well. The maximum is absolutely right, 16. So yes, folks, this brings towards the end of our quiz number 1. So for the remaining 3 days, we have such quizzes as well. But again, these quizzes are not that hard as compared to your certification exam.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
About certification exam, there is only one try.
Yes, Yusuf. There is only one try for the certification exam, and I'm gonna share all the details around certification exam on day 4.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And here, just to give you an overview, here is some information. But yes, I'm gonna discuss this information on day 4.
Okay.
90 minutes, 50 MCQs, 35 passing criteria, 1 for customers and partners, 2 for internals, and it will be enrolled on day 4. Feel free to make your notes during this next 4 days because this is an open book exam. So whatever notes you prepare, everything, whatever documentation you want to refer, everything can be done because this is an open book exam. But yes, I'll come back to this section on day 4. So now let's start our module number 3. So day 1 will be ended with theory only. So in total we have 7 modules. So 3 will be done, 2.5 will be done today. And after that, starting from tomorrow, we'll be focusing on demonstration more as compared to theory. So whenever we cover some particular theory part, I'll be using 2 HSMs which are there at my home. So I'll be using those to demonstrate some concepts to you folks. If you have any lower environment HSM, or if you have any HSM which is there for you to do the same test, you guys are welcome to follow me and do the same testing at your environment. But we do not have any testing HSM or any training environment for you folks. So feel free to do the same labs at your local environment. I see someone is on unmute. Any questions, anyone folks? Okay. So this is module number 3 about product configuration, and in this module we're going to talk about what role will give you access to the HSM and what role will give you access to the appliance. We're going to talk about cloning domain in detail, what exactly is that red key and how crucial that red key is for your all HSM operation. Policies at HSM level and policies at partition level. Initialization, we're going to talk about HSM and partition initialization, and also going to see the demo on both of them. FIPS compliances and STM, your secure transport mode. So this is we're going to cover in module number 3. So first we're going to talk about roles which will give access to the appliance. So there are 4 built-in administrative users for appliance. The number 1 is appliance admin. They are your highest level of user account in terms of your appliance operation. They have access to every command which you can trigger on the appliance, except few commands which are only there for your audit users. So for example, any configuration and maintenance tasks like setting up your network, setting your host name, if you have to restart a service on the appliance, if you want to configure the logging on the appliance, your appliance admin can do that. So this is the first users you will be creating on the appliance to configure the networking. The first user you will ever configure for the network HSM. Then operator, your limited access default user that can do some of your configuration and maintenance tasks. For example, let's say you want to transfer the file of your firmware upgrade from the client location to your appliance. Then you can use operator user for that. You do not want to expose the appliance admin, so your operator can also do the same task. but very limited access user. It cannot do all the remaining tasks which your admin can do. Then we have monitor, which is kind of an observer role. It can get information about the appliance status, but it cannot impact your HSM configuration in any way. So read-only user cannot change anything on the appliance directly or indirectly. So what are the policy values? They can see how many partitions are created. They can see how many clients are registered. They can see what is the status of a particular service. Monitor can see that as well. But they cannot restart services, create partitions, no, nothing. Audit user, so this user we're going to configure on day 4, and this user along with audit officer will configure your, sorry, someone have a question, folks? I'm sorry, I'm hearing some background noises. I'm not sure if it's only me who's hearing that or... Okay, then audit, this user along with audit officer will configure your HSM level logging event. So we're gonna see this user being created and this user configuring your HSM logging on day 4. Only the admin user can enable or disable the other users. Only admin is allowed to do that, and admin user is always enabled. These 4 built-in roles, they can never be deleted. Remember folks, your appliance users, they do not have any access to the key material which is stored on the HSM. Can anyone tell me the reason why? Why is that? Why appliance users do not have any access to the key material? Anyone?
Key material stored in the HSM and the case7 card.
Absolutely right, Avinash. Because you have this segregation. This is your appliance. This is your HSM. This is your appliance level users. Your partitions content, your partition object, everything is stored on the HSM. Your appliance user do not have permission to utilize this, access this sensitive part. So that is role segregation is there. Appliance level role and HSM level roles. So these are your just appliance administrator, configuring services, configuring networking. They can do that, but nothing related to the key material. For that, you have separate HSM level roles. Then we have a special user account called as recover. So let's say admin of your appliance forgot their password in your organization. No worries. If admin user forgot their password, we have a recover account to recover the password. Username recover and password uppercase password. Never expires, never change. Recover and password. Once you reset the admin credential for the appliance, you have 2 scenarios. One, when your HSM is not initialized. When we say HSM is not initialized, it means there is no partition, no cryptographic content, no secure keys is there on your HSM. It is just your HSM without any sensitive object. So in this scenario, even though if you are resetting your admin password, nothing will happen. You can simply utilize your HSM normal. But in the second scenario, when your HSM is initialized, you have your cryptographic content created. There are some sensitive objects inside your HSM. Then we're going to ask you, do you have the security officer credentials? The security officer is the administrator of your HSM. If the security officer password are known, if it is a password based HSM, or if it is a PED based HSM, then the physical PED key and the PIN for the security officer is known. Then again, your cryptographic content retained, everything is there. If the security officer in your organization forgot their password as well, they are not able to recall the password, if it is a password HSM, or they are not able to find the physical paired key, or they are not able to find the correct PIN. We will provide you 3 attempts. 3 attempts to find the correct combination of physical paired key and PIN, or 3 attempts to provide the correct password for your security officer. If the security officer is not able to provide the correct combination of PIN and physical paired key, HSM will go to zero-wise state. All the cryptographic content removed from your HSM. So make sure if you are resetting your admin password, if the HSM is initialized, you have the security officer credentials with you. Else everything will be removed. But as this is a sensitive operation to recover the password, this can only be accessed over console. So you cannot SSH into the appliance with the recover and password. No. You must be in the data center with the serial local console. You can log in with recover user. That is, a user which have access to the appliance physically can only reset this password. Any question, folks? Any queries from this section? Recover user?
So, sorry, could you explain again what the recover recover user and password can do? I know they can recover users' passwords, but which users or which accounts?
Okay, only admin password. The appliance admin, only this password can be reset using recover.
Okay.
Yeah. Once the admin password is known, all these user accounts, operator, monitor, audit, these 3 accounts can be reset. Their password can be reset by admin.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this is recover account which can only log in using console. Yes, Avinash?
Just one question, can we restrict that recover account post HSM initialize? Let's suppose we understand recover user have the standard password, or someone goes to the data center and they connected the serial cable and reset the admin password. So that could be a impact for us. So is there any restriction to where we can apply post initialize? We can disable that particular account.
So as of now, there is no option to reset this account or disable this account or even change the password for this account. It is always there by default. But again, you cannot disable them. The only restriction you can apply is who can access your appliance in the data center. That's it.
Okay. Again, we have to apply one more security on that particular device.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, sorry. One last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're trying to, if you're prompted for the security officer password, PED, well, let's say you have a PED, right? Well, which you usually do, right? And you try one and maybe the person worked before you, or you, I won't say lost it, but did not document the password properly, or the PIN properly, or you did not document the actual. Let's say you had three pads and you forgot which you didn't label it properly. Are you able? Because I know after 3 attempts it zeroized. Are you able to, after you try once and then twice, right, are you able to cancel that request, right? And of course, naturally you can't continue and then come back again and try again, maybe a day later or 2 days later, or does it always just remember, right, that you try twice and that's it?
I got that question, Christopher. Yeah. So there is a counter which will remember forever how many times you have made incorrect attempts. As soon as you provide the correct attempt, the counter will reset, but HSM will remember.
All right. Okay, so basically there's no going back. Once you've done, once you make that attempt, if you make the 3rd attempt, it's a 3rd attempt no matter what time you try it until you provide the right one. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Actually, this option, the second option, the option B, is use the reset button, the physical button.
Again, the impact will be the same. So even if security officer forget their password, or if you press the decommission button on the rear panel, the impact is same. That is all the partition content being removed. But yes, they are same.
Okay, thank you.
Can't a normal admin user just reset the admin? Like, so if I have myself on there as an admin user, I can reset the actual admin account's user or password. So with that, I mean, the special account is reserved to reset the admin password. I mean, if you have multiple admin users, they could still reset it. So.
Right, yes. It is only in the scenario where you just have one admin password, admin account, and you're not able to recall that password. Yeah. If you have other admin configured, they can also help you to recover the admin password, or even reset the admin password for the other admins. I hope that was your question, Nathan.
Yeah. It'd be a nice, probably RFE to be able to disable that then. Like the other gentleman was talking about.
Yep. Yes, Avinash?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure I got something. Can you hear me?
Yes, Raj, I can.
Okay, awesome. I just want to make sure I got something straight here. So the built-in admin accounts, can you just explain what the difference is between that built-in admin account and the security officer account?
Yep, good question, Raj. I'm going to come back to this slide. I'm going to talk about security officer and all the roles for your HSMs. But this is, as of now, appliance admin who will be reset with the help of recover. But what is security officer and what are the permissions of security officer? I'm going to talk about that in the next slide.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Raj. Yes, Avinash?
Yes. So regards to this 3 attempt for the SO officer, so is it a 3 consecutive login to disconnect that connection, or is it like one after other? Let's suppose I tried login and it's a fail. So second day I tried, so it's second count, or it will be a 0?
It will be a second count. Like I said earlier, your HSM remembers these 3 counts. Even if it is 3 months apart, still HSM will remember that. As soon as you provide the right credentials, then only this 3 counter will be reset.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more thing, like if I want to create one more account which have the same privilege of admin account, so can we create that?
Yes. Multiple admin, multiple operator, multiple monitor, they can be configured.
Okay.
They can also be created, they can also be deleted, but these 4, these can never be deleted.
Okay, those are built in. Is there any option available to integrate this account with the AD LDAP kind of thing?
Yes. Radius, your remote authentication dial-in user service, Radius integration is also supported for these users.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So now about users which will have access to the HSM. So far your appliance admin, operator, monitor, audit, they are the user that will log into the appliance. Then there are some users that will have access to the HSM, the heart and brain of your appliance where cryptographic operation will take place. So the first, we have 3 roles which are mandatory. Your application, they cannot utilize partitions without these 3 users being created. These 3 are mandatory and these 2 are optional. Even if you do not want, you can skip them. So first one is your HSM security officer. So this SO is responsible for your HSM initialization. When you initialize HSM, this will take the ownership over this device, this K7 card. HSM SO will configure your HSM policies. They will create partitions. They will delete partitions. They can resize the partition, configure your HSM level policies, do your software upgrade and firmware upgrade. Very, very important role for your HSM administration. They are the administrator of the entire K7 card, entire HSM. Then second mandatory role is your partition security officer, PSO. So within the HSM, you have different partitions. Every partition have their unique partition security officer. So this role, this PSO or PO, act as the administrator of a particular partition. They can configure the partition level policies. They can create crypto officer, but still these two roles, they do not have access to any key material. These two roles cannot create cryptographic content inside your HSM partition. For that you require the third role, crypto officer, CO. So this role is responsible for creating your cryptographic content. This is the owner of your key material. So operation like key generation, key deletion, even cryptographic operation like encryption, decryption, signing, verify, that can be done by crypto officer. So this role can create partition. This role initialize partition and initialize crypto officer. And then final crypto officer, the application owner or owner of the key material that can create cryptographic content. So you can see role separation is there. Few are administrators, few are your key owners.
Sorry, did you say that the security officer can create partitions, right?
Yes, HSM security officer, they can create partitions.
But it's the partition security officer that does the initialization of the partition, right?
Correct. Correct. It is your PSO that will take the ownership of the partition and will do the partition initialization.
Okay.
So these three are your mandatory roles. Without the partition, SO, HSM SO, you cannot create partitions. Without the PO, you cannot configure a crypto officer. And if there is no crypto officer, you cannot create contents. You cannot write partition cryptographic keys inside the partition. So these three are mandatory. Then you have some optional roles like audit officer. So this AO role is important to configure the logging event on the HSM. What partition was utilized, what cryptographic keys was created, when the crypto officer logged in. So these are your HSM level logging event. Your audit officer will control those logging event. Crypto user, it is like a read-only version of crypto officer. So they cannot write private keys, but they can utilize the existing keys. That is operation like encryption, decryption, signing, verify. These can be done with the help of crypto user, but operation like creating objects, deleting objects, crypto user cannot do that. So crypto user, a read-only version of crypto officer. Any questions, anyone from these 5 roles? Okay.
This audit officer and that audit user, so both are different. Like we see in the appliance role, there is one audit user,
right?
And HSM role, we see audit officer. So both are the different roles and responsibilities.
Yes, absolutely right. Good observation, Avinash. Yes, these are 2 separate roles. One is your appliance level role, who will SSH into the appliance. That is your audit user, and then audit officer will log in into the HSM PED. With the help of PED or password, will log into the HSM and configure your logging event. So yes, these 2 are separate, but they work together to configure your HSM level logging. We're gonna see that in the on day 4.
Okay, thank you.
Folks, remember.
One question. Only the audit officer can read the logs of the HSM?
Logs into the HSM. Your SO can also log into the HSM. Your PO can log into a particular partition only. Crypto
Okay.
officer can log into the particular partition
No,
only.
he's asking the
Audit logs.
to view the logs.
Okay, so to view the logs, okay, sorry, I misinterpreted the question. So, yes, I'm going to talk about who can view the logs. So, audit officer can configure the logging event, but there's a separate user who can view those logs. So, that is your audit appliance level role who can view those logs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because again, this is a sensitive part of your HSM. This is where your cryptographic operation take place. So, no one can simply log into this part and view those logs. No. Your logs will only be visible when they are sent to the appliance. We call it log rotation. That is logs sitting on the HSM sent on the appliance so that they can be viewed. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. And folks, remember, whether you have database HSM, whether you have password based HSM, the appliance users always have a password for them to log in. Always. Because you also have to do SSH using these users. So admin, operator, monitor, audit. No matter whether you have password or PED, these 4 roles always have password for to log in. The difference lies in HSM level roles in case of PED and password. So these roles will have a PED, physical PED key for them to log in case of a PED based HSM. They will have password in case of password based HSM. The difference always lies for the HSM roles.
Silly question for you. Did you say that the audit logs can be passed to the application side for viewing?
No, on the appliance to be viewing, on the appliance here. So,
okay.
Yeah, so when your logs are sitting on the HSM, this is a sensitive part, no one can log in and view your logs. They will be rotated and sent on the appliance. Here they can be viewed.
Okay, so how are they sent, if you don't mind me just asking, in what way are they sent to the appliance side?
Okay, so Raj, there are 2 options. One is the manual one, where you manually run the command to rotate the logs. Or second, there's an automatic rotation interval which you will configure, let's say daily, just daily rotate your logs, or weekly, every week rotate your logs, depending on how frequently you want to get those logs out of the HSM. So those log rotation interval.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so log rotation interval can be configured by the audit user, audit AO officers, audit officer.
And is there like some specific protocol that they're sent to from the K7 to the appliance side, or like in what way is it sent over?
So I'm not sure about the internal mechanics in terms of the protocol, but if you want to send these logs to a syslog server, then you have TCP or UDP both available to send them to a remote syslog server. But between the HSM and appliance, this is again a secure communication which is happening.
And it's only it's only one direction, right? There's no
Correct.
bi-directional communication. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, just thinking in my head. Thank you.
Yep. Good question, Raj. Yep. This is only one directional from HSM to the appliance. Yes, Avinash?
Yeah, so let's suppose we in HSM there a log will be generated and rotated. So once this rotation happens, that log will send to the appliance. So there have been some space storage, like let's suppose we're running the 2 years, so that 2-year log should be a huge log, and how we can remove those lag or anything.
Yeah, so Avinash, I'm gonna spend my entire day for talking about logging event and everything, but yes, just to answer your question as of now, yes, there is a size limitation. You have 220 gig hard drive on the appliance, so that even on HSM you just have 16 MB, on appliance you have 220 gig. But yes, logs are always there is an option to send those logs to download on the client side, and then you can simply delete the logs which are sitting on the appliance. You never want to be in a situation where your 220 gig of hard disk is completely filled. You can damage your appliance, and we're going to talk about that on day 4.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
So these are your appliance roles, and this slides talk about your HSM roles. So another quick recap. Your HSM security officer, if it is a pet-based HSM, represented by blue-colored pet key. They are your HSM admin. They will set policies for the HSM and they will initialize the HSM. This role is your HSM administrator. Audit officer, white colored pet key. It is the independent auditor of your HSM transactions. Configure the logging frequency, logging configuration for the HSM. Domain. Cloning, it is important at the time of cloning and the backup of your cryptographic keys. We're going to talk about domain tomorrow. Partition security officer, again color blue for them as well, and they are the administrator of the partition. Configure your partition level events. Still at this stage, there is no one who can create the cryptographic content. Only crypto officer is the one who have the read and write access to the key material. Read and write, that is also for operation like encryption, decryption, signing, verify. Crypto officer can also be utilized. But if you want to restrict to an application just to read operation, do not create objects, do not delete existing objects, share the permission of crypto user with them. Crypto user, read only user of the key material. So these roles will have a physical ped key in case of ped-based HSM. These roles will have password for a password HSM. Other than these ped keys, there is one more key which we just recently talked about. Anyone remembers the color of that key and the name of that key? Other than the
orange key, it's the remote ped key.
Absolutely right, Chris. This is your orange ped key, which also have a physical ped key required for your remote ped connection. Yes, Avinash? Yes, Avinash, go ahead. Cannot hear you yet.
Yeah, sorry, I just double muted. So I can see HSM security officer is also blue key and partition security officer is also blue key.
Yep.
So
okay. So this is because in the Luna 5 we only had one set of users. The same SO, same PO doing the HSM initialization and doing the partition initialization. So that's why we have kept the color scheme same, that is blue. However, these two can be two separate keys. One individual blue key will be your SO, second individual another blue key with your PO permission. So if you want to bifurcate, there is also an option to apply some keychains. Let's say if you want, I can show you that tomorrow as well. You can use different keychains to hold different sets of keys. But yes, color is same for blue for PO and blue for SO.
Okay, thank you.
So you can see HSM have separate roles for for a dedicated task. So we have some managers like SO and PO that do not have access to the key material. The users which have access to the key materials, they cannot do management tasks. There are users which can configure your appliance, but they cannot log into the HSM. There are users which can log into the HSM but cannot configure your appliance services and status of your logging events. So separate users have their separate responsibility. It is up to the organization to which individual they want to assign different roles. It is also possible that in your organization the individual who is your SO is also your AO. But again, it is totally up to the organization whether to make this decision. But still, they will have two separate physical ped keys for them, one with blue and one with white. Cloning domain, I'm going to talk about cloning domain tomorrow, but the last thing I'm going to talk about is this HSM initialization. Okay, let's talk about, still have a few minutes. Let's talk about cloning domain first. Folks, when you have to travel internationally, what is the piece of document you have to carry? What's that document called? If you have to travel, absolutely right, Chris, passport. So cloning domain, consider this as a passport for your cryptographic content. That is, if your cryptographic content needs to transfer to another partition, it could be for a backup operation, it could be for an HA operation, it could be for migration. Whenever the contents needs to go to another partition, they must have the same cloning domain. So cloning domains are the secret that two partitions must share to clone the objects between one to another. If you remember, there was a statement written that FIPS 140-2 level 3 have a requirement that private keys needs to be stored in encrypted form, and if they are traveling, they needs to be in encrypted form.
مش اتجوزت.
So cloning domain is the key which will be
التانية كبرت وما
utilized
شاء الله
to
تكتب
encrypt
كمان.
all the contents when they will be leaving the HSM boundary and going to another partition. If the target have the same cloning domain, they will be able to decrypt the content and store them. So in case of a backup operation, the target partition must have the same cloning domain. You have domain at the time of HSM initialization, and you have domain at the time of partition initialization. These two domains, they can be separate as well. HSM domain.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's just 1 minute left, and I have a hard stop. Is it possible to resume tomorrow because the training was till 2:30?
Yes, absolutely. I was about to wrap up in just 1 minute. Yep, sure. We can again start with the concept of cloning domain tomorrow. And folks, I would request everyone to make your account in this portal if you have not already done it. And we're gonna start from here. It will take me 2 to 3 hours to upload today's session recording on this portal, and you can access it after, let's say, 5 Eastern. You can see the session recordings for today. So if you have any question, folks, let me know about training content or anything from the training session today.
Thank you.
Yes, Anthony, I have to share 2 questions to you because you guessed that right. So yeah, I'm not gonna forget that.
Hey, I was thinking what Anthony said, so you can share it with me. Just kidding.
For sure, there will be few more questions around that, and if others are able to respond correctly on that, I promise I'm gonna share 2 separate questions to those guys as well. So there are few more tricks and quizzes coming up for you guys. So folks, thank you for attending day 1. I am gonna look forward to meeting you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I would request to join on time. I'm gonna start at 11 Eastern. Today there were some technical challenges. I hope we do not face them tomorrow. So thank you and wish you good rest of the day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.